first thing is that we are dealing with this fantasy world called Celestia. The supercontinent is called Lithia. We don't have to know any of that. All we have to know is that on the western coast of Lithia, separated a little bit from the continent by just enough ocean for people to care about, is a fragmented set of islands, including a big one called Harn. It's the British Isles. I mean, it's just sort of wiggle the coastlines everywhere a little bit, change the inland seas around, and there you go. Think of the British Isles prior to full feudalism, prior to the Crusades by a fair amount, in that period that nobody remembers, in between Rome withdrawing and the Crusades beginning. We tend to think of it as one moment, but it's more like 600 or 700 years. So it's
400 to 900 to 1000.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit. It's a lot of time, and it's not a precise parallel. Feudalism. There's a bit of imperial presence, and anyway, I won't go into it, but it's very, very close. And so this is Harn. This ocean is fairly narrow. The supercontinent's coast and its inland seas and things are quite close. But access to Harn seems to be the ocean is very annoying and tough to traverse, and so there's the Nordics ish are up here, and the French ish are here, but the access is actually fairly strictly controlled through a region here. So this is a little more isolated than one might think. I hate all this world building, but basically the Nordics have come and sort of settled this region, but it's very it's not very well established, and what we have really is a whole bunch of kind of imperial leftovers scattered around, but a lot of it is just wilderness with trade routes. We are going to be over here. And it is a wild ocean out this way that nobody goes across. So here then, just as we drill in, unfortunately not always with the best resolution in my printing, but as we get in closer and I find the right maps, and throw papers in every direction, as usual. Oh, right. Okay, well here, first of all, this is helpful. That's a pretty picture, but it is labeled, but it's hard to read. This is more of a schematic, and we are going to be playing right here at the juncture of Candé and Rethem on the coast. And briefly, Candé is sort of the good guys. They're the sort of supposed to be the enlightened ruler, feudal king kind of guy. And the evil gods are banned, and it's supposed to be kind of like, the good place. Whereas the Thardic Republic is kind of like a little leftover of empire, and all the senators squabble and don't get anywhere. Even though it has a great military and things, it is not very effective. Rethem is was founded by some Kuboran tribesmen and absorbed a whole bunch of other people, and is the sinkhole of the evil gods, and is all kinds of warlike and stuff like that. So has fights with Candé all the time, tries to expand up into the barbarian lands, the tribal lands, I should say. These headings, those are various tribal peoples. So you really shouldn't think of these as nations at all. They are power holdings.
Civilized cultures, I think they have.
Well, that's what they call them.
That's what they call them.
But Anyway, there's a few others. So that Orbal area, that's where the Nordics have come and sort of taken over. Meldarian is kind of a magical wizard-controlled area, and they seem to feel strongly about Harn not being taken over by the continental powers. So, but we don't know much about them. We are way over here. And this makes a great deal of attempts at cultural realism, so people don't really go anywhere. If you were born in an area, unless you are really a merchant or something like that, you're not going to travel. So we are not characters who do that. I rolled for the familial social background. And that's the first thing you do, almost. First you roll to see whether you're a human or an orc or something. And then, and also for gender. Anyway, I'm going to pass these around. There, you see I stuck them on the bottom. Okay, so what I have here, just to show you a character, we have our species, sex, and a bunch of descriptive things about them, some aspects of their appearance. These are your standard attributes, but they're very detailed. Touch, smell, taste, hearing, right? Very, very detailed. And we have rolled to see like what bodily problems or details you may have. This person has birthmarks. You're lucky nobody got intestinal worms. It's on the table.
Of course.
And so the other basics, I have given this person their default skills that everyone has, and I have also given them the ones they got from their family background. This person's family background was actually a swordmaster, which is so that doesn't mean this person is a swordmaster. It means that's where they were raised. Whoever takes this character will look at their details and decide what profession they did an apprenticeship in. Then we update that, and then you get some custom points. So that is the basic idea. The place that I'm talking about, this is what here we go. Okay, so if we drill in to Rethem and Candé, and you can see there's this bay right there. And so the capital of Rethem, this place called Golotha, which is considered the scariest demon city. Well, there are several, the place is actually built of little controlled keeps and fortresses. And the guy's a king because not all of them are rebelling against him at once. That's pretty much exactly the way it works. And the...
But it's assumed that this so-called civilized cultures, they have agricultural and they have some sort of like stratified society.
Absolutely,
there is someone at the top, and there is nobles below him, and then there is.
That's exactly right.
So on.
Yeah. Although I strongly suspect that noble simply means somebody whose grandfather seized a particular trade route,
that's
right? And that's it.
Yeah.
And so the thing I want you to notice is that there is a portion of this area that kind of goes off here, just north of this border, and it has some coastline. And that coastline is, as you can tell a little bit here, is full of marshes and rocks and things. It's really, nobody farms there. There's no keeps or farmlands or anything like that. It's pretty crappy. This is the biggest place going in that direction on the coast, named Waseda. And as far as I can tell, it's a crappy little place. It's got one keep, not even a fortress, and is it does have this kind of slightly protected coastline behind this little peninsula. So that's where we will be. It's not a very big place. And as far as I can tell, is very well described by that map, which I found somewhere. Not of Wazeta, but I found a map that struck me as being just right. And we can adjust the geography. I mean, there's no reason to think that it doesn't look like that, so it will. And so this would be that little strip of water right there.
So it would really be that way.
I don't want it to be. So
like in the world.
right, I don't know.
You can.
So let's see. What else about this? There's up here at this place called Tormau, the northernmost fortress of Rethem. He has not sworn fealty to the king, and seems able. There's no way they can make him do what they want, and he's the guy who actually built the keep at Waseda. So that was only 10 or 11 years ago. So it's a pretty fragmented power base, and that guy seems like he's doing a pretty good job of interacting with sailors and pirates and things like that. So we're a little bit off the script as far as the center power is concerned, considering that the churches in question are very, very evil and very, very fractured in their own factions. That means that nobody can really tell anybody what to do. There's going to be some other religious sect that's in their own church, allegedly, that will fight with them. So anyway, the information is just overwhelming, but that's the basic idea. We are in a town which is primarily about fishing, but a lot of delivery of things back and forth. It is at the extended. It's just enough in reach of this guy that he was able to build the keep there and probably benefits from it economically in some way. But it's not very well defended, and it's a little bit. These guys have bigger problems. So in a way, this place kind of benefits from nobody really. It's not at the top of anyone's list, right? So that's the idea. But it is. Think of it. It's a medieval coastal village. It's not a sophisticated place. The constable there has attempted to create a little bit more of a life for himself. So we have these 4 characters now, each one as well. You don't want that. That's a skill list. Okay. Each of them as well has this skill table that we'll use to finish the characters. Well, let's talk it over just in general, okay? Yeah. A male character, he's not actually, let's just say that physically speaking, he's not going to grow up to take over the Swordmaster business. So you can, no. But then, so these are family backgrounds, not their professions or even what they want to do. This one was raised by a prostitute family, if you want to look at it that way, and they specifically say that unlike, for example, being raised by a swordmaster, you don't learn the trade. Nobody wants that's a trade you end up in. It's not a trade you build a family in.
Yeah.
So
that caveat in there.
So well, they did that, and so that means that therefore, when you build the skills, you think about the family. And I decided to give him innkeeper skills. Yeah. So that's kind of where they seem to have done well at Waseda. Let's just put it that way. So they're not streetwalkers.
And they are all locals to this.
Yes, I decided that I would have them all be from this area, just so I would have to explain less. Now this one is the third male character who is raised by semi-skilled laborers. So it has all sorts of little masonry and odd job skills, but no real education of any kind or anything like that. But is physically quite powerful and would have been, in my opinion, would be picked up by anybody like the local security, the night or two that might be at this keep. This is the kind of guy they would put their eye on and say, oh, we want that guy in here. So he's the most physically formidable of them. And then there's one more who is hiding.
Stealthy guy. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. There. This is the female character who's quite tiny physically. and was raised by a clothier family who I figure actually is their home must be attached to the keep, one of the nearby dwellings that you would find in and around the keep itself. They probably make the clothes for the slightly higher status people. And so they all have skills appropriate for their upbringings, but we will then go into the process for choosing what your character wants to do and has been trained in, which I'm leaving open. So, is anybody dying to play any of these?
Go on.
No, I'm good.
Pick one. No, okay, you sure? All right. Did you get the skill list too, Johan?
Yes.
Oh, you did. Okay. Yeah. Just do that. Okay.
I'll take the last one.
Sure. Okay, yeah.
Now, I would like to say that the game is quite organized in some ways. We are in the year 720.
Mm-hmm.
There's a considerable history before that, but that's the crux point of the culture. And I have rolled for I rolled for when we started in the year, and we ended up by luck being right in the middle of the year, the beginning of the 7th month. And that therefore I rolled for all the events of the year for several different locations. So I now know what's going on around Retham. From now on, this is our Harn. There's no canonical anything after 720. So, it's been a very quiet year for Weseda until just this month, the beginning of the autumn harvest, disaster. Terrible harvest, which is in a place like this, I'm going to say probably involves the ocean as well. And so therefore it's not a good thing for a town. People die of starvation when this happens. But interestingly enough, both Tormau, that northern keep, and also Henwe, which is the keep close by that is loyalist, or the next other close by keep that is loyalist, both of them had disasters. Freak weather, a monster, all sorts of terrible things. So that happened a couple of months ago. So that's good news. Yeah, that's really good news when we say that. Yeah, fantastic. All the potential sort of send the soldiers in to, clean up the joint or whatever, or kill the constable or whatever, or the priests, right? Maybe one of the temples would have started to think about maybe hold there now that they're starting to get a little prosperous. No, they've been dealing with all of their disasters. So lucky you, this year when we start play, Weseda is actually like, oh, nobody's coming in to kill us. This is fantastic. The only thing, however, early in the year, the ocean situation, the nearby islands and that not Moorish, but the marshes and moors, geographical, have been extremely, that would be out here on this little point here, there have been a lot of bad things that have happened there. Monsters and a freak storm and stuff like that. Maybe the freak storm over the months has led to the problem with harvest and water and things like that. So that's sort of the local back history of the moment. And here we may need this, which is our combat tables right here. Here. This is a good map. Here, look at that. We should have been looking at this. Yeah, that's a nice one. That's actually from the original Atlas Harnica from the mid-'80s that preceded the game.
That's nice quality for a mid-'80s.
Yeah.
Product.
The place, therefore, there are those, and yeah, way up here. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, there's Weseda here. That keep is loyalist. That's the capital. Tormau is up here. So as you can see, we're actually as far away and strictly by ocean that the guy in Tormau could possibly reach, right? So we're not well supported by that guy. If the people at Henwe rode in with 50 knights to secure the town, they could.